Hi, I'm Michael Sansolo, and welcome to Shopping with Michael. Flowers and plants are wonderful additions to our lives. They look great, smell great, and make us smile. But how can you pick out the best ones at your favorite supermarket? And then, how do you care for them properly when you get home? We'll be right back with some tips after this.
Squirrels know how to save. They have to. But people, they're a different story. Some try coupons or check apps for the lowest price. Some wait for the word S-A-L-E. Many people, however, know that the lowest prices without coupons or special sales come when they regularly buy store brands. Food, beverages, household, health and beauty. Your supermarket, drug chain, or mass merchandiser has store brands with comparable ingredients, taste, and performance to more expensive national brands. A family of 4 can save $1,500 a year, and you can squirrel that away for other things you need to buy. Store brands, the real way to save.
Welcome back. So why buy flowers from your supermarket? Well, first, with floral shops harder and harder to find, supermarkets are fast becoming the go-to place to buy high-quality cut flowers, floral arrangements, and potted plants. In your favorite store, you can find a wide array of floral choices that are a convenient, fresh, and competitively priced purchase, whether you're buying it just on the spur of the moment or it's something that you've planned. Plus, you're assured that the store stands 100% behind the product as an important part of its service-oriented fresh departments all around the store. And many people are frustrated by how short-lived flowers may be once they get them home from the supermarket. We got to remember, flowers as well as plants are living entities that under the right conditions and with the proper care can easily be encouraged to last a whole lot longer. We have an expert with us today who will give us tips on how to do just that. Stephen Scaniello is one of the world's top experts on roses. He's a gardening guru who divides his time as designer, horticulturalist, writer, and curator of famous and historic gardens, both public and private, from New England to Texas to California. He's written several books, including most recently, A Rose by Any Name. His other books cover annuals, perennials, bulbs, and shrubs. Stephen, a lot we have to talk about on plants, but first I have to ask you, because I understand you got to give a rose to Julie Andrews. I'm a Julie Andrews fan. How did that come about?
Well, it was a really fun project. I have known Julie for many years, and she's always complained to me that she doesn't have a proper rose with her name on it, and she's a big rose fan. So we found one in a growing field in Arizona. I sent her a picture, and immediately she fired back to me, "It's lovely." And I told her it's practically perfect in every way.
Well, we have to channel our inner Mary Poppins. All right, there is little chance I'm going to be buying flowers for Julie Andrews or Mary Poppins anytime soon, but my wife has an outside shot that I'll do it for her. So if I go to the supermarket, these are lovely bouquets we have here, bought at different supermarkets. What should I do when I'm in the store to pick the right kind of flowers? What sort of things do I need to ask myself?
Well, I'm naturally drawn to roses, but what I usually do right away is touch the flowers and see if anything would fall off, like a petal.
So like this petal here, this isn't a Beauty and the Beast moment.
This is not a good sign. If the petals start falling off when you touch it, the flowers aren't fresh. So I would find something else that's much more firm, as this yellow one is. It's quite healthy.
Oh, so I can actually just do that? Now
Sure,
we'll test for firmness.
Squeeze test.
Yeah, and you're right. This one is actually a lot squishier, and this one has some give to it.
I also do look at the flowers to see if they are too open, perhaps are too tightly closed. For instance, this lily is rather tight and may not open in your vase. These roses are actually quite perfect. You can see the centers very nicely and sort of a spiral formation, and they should last for a long time in your vase.
Okay, so a lot of this when I'm in the store is done by looking at the flowers and touching the flowers. Is the fragrance, is that important? Is that going to tell me anything, or
You
just smell like flowers?
actually may not get much fragrance in the store, because they're usually sold in an area where it's a bit chilly near the produce department. So a chilly air, cool air will limit the amount of fragrance that the flowers give off.
And you were also telling me, though, that when we take them home, don't store them next to the produce because produce gives off gas as it ripens, and that can actually cause my flowers to start wilting.
That's right. It's an ethylene gas that helps promote ripening. And what some people used to do, they would take a flower like this and they would swallow it, put it in their mouth. That's the exact reaction you expect to get. Yes. I'm not about to do that in front of you. I don't want to.
I'm not going to do it for you either, no.
But what it does, the humidity in your mouth, the warmth and humidity, extracts the fragrance, and you can get a true sense, unless you had garlic pizza before you ate. And another trick was to take a flower and put it on your head if you're lacking hair up here, and then put a hat over it, and again, the humidity draws out the fragrance.
All right, I want to go for some simpler tactics in order to keep my flowers fresh. So let's assume I'm not going to do mouth-to-mouth on my flowers or put them on top of my head. When I bring them home, how do I help them last a little longer?
Well, there's some really interesting tips and really easy tips to do at home to ensure to get the longest life in a vase for your rose.
Why don't we take a minute and bring out some materials so you can show us how to do this properly? How about that?
That sounds really good.
Okay, let's do that.
Who makes store brands? We hired a famous detective to find out. He snooped here, and he snooped there. And what he found was, in many cases, the same company that made the national brand made the store brands too. Wow! Then he found that many store brands are made by manufacturers who specialize in store brands, experts in working with retailers to give you great products at great savings. Wow! But most important, he found that store brands have to meet the same government standards as the national brands. What's the difference between store brands and national brands? Usually, only the price. Store brands. Be your own detective.
All right, Stephen, now you've got a lot of stuff on this table you have to explain to me. We have a rolling pin, we've got flowers, 3 kinds of scissors, and all this water.
Okay.
Show us what we do when I bring my flowers home. Where do we go?
Well, the first thing, you want to have a good pair of scissors, and I prefer something like these craft scissors. They have a long shank, and they are very sharp. Or you can even, this is a different type of scissor you can get online.
That looks like a gardening tool.
It's a gardening tool, a craft tool. And my trusty pair of garden pruners, which are good for really thick stems of the flowers. Because not all the flowers have the same kind of stem. Some are soft, some are hard. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the elastic that's holding these stems together. They've been bundled. And there's a really interesting mix of flowers in here. And the one flower that usually is a problem in a vase, I take all the foliage off. You don't need the foliage. Chrysanthemums. They have a very hard stem. So what I do with a rolling pin is I simply just crush.
Wow, yeah.
You that crush? It feels good. And so now they're crushed and they're ready for action.
Okay.
The other flowers, in general, what I like to do, if they're stripping off the foliage, if they're fresh cut flowers from the garden, especially roses, I also will pull off the prickles or the thorns. Or actually, they're prickles. My grandson would correct me on that.
They're prickles, not thorns.
They're
Okay,
prickles,
good to know
right.
that.
So I put all these in the
Every
water.
rose has its prickles.
That's right.
Got it.
Put all the flowers in the water, just like that. A nice deep vessel. Get as much of the flowers into the water as possible. And with your sharp scissors, start cutting. And I'm cutting the stems, actually, while they're submerged.
Okay, why cut them in the water and not out here?
Because when you make that cut, the stems will absorb whatever is around them. So if it's open
they're pulling
air,
in water now.
Now they're pulling in water. If it's on the tabletop, they're sucking up air, and that could cause a blockage in the stem. So by doing this, you're creating fresh cuts. And some of these flowers, you don't really know how long they've been sitting in the store container. So you can't go wrong by doing this. They're in fresh water.
By the way, do we have to cut them on an angle or just cut them however?
Just cut them any way you want.
All right.
Okay, and kind of loosen them up now. This is 2 different bundles, a really beautiful mix of colors. I couldn't have done better myself.
Well, I tried to get you nice flowers.
Well,
We
thank
appreciate you being here.
I'm glad someone sent me flowers. This is nice. Anyway, here we go. We have roses, we have carnations, we have mums, we have lilies, we have straw flower, we have statice. I'm impressed. And next is the vase you're going to display them in. So this is a lot of flowers, and I would recommend a vase that has a pretty wide mouth and lots of room for water. But the secret.
Well, I was going to ask, because they always come with this little packet.
I was about to give you my secret.
All right, so the secret, do I need my packet of plant food, or are we throwing that out?
Yeah, you could use this, but you know, it's just basically powdered bleach and sugar. So why not just take some household bleach? A few drops.
In an eyedropper, wow.
A few drops. Oop,
And you said before that bacteria
will
will build up. Does this kill the bacteria? Is that why you're doing that?
This is to control the bacteria, and I take my trusty scissors again and just mix it up like that. Dry them before they rust.
Okay.
And put your flowers. And I don't really like to spend too much time actually arranging them. I'm sort of a casual florist when it comes to this. And that's a perfect.
That looks so pretty, and you didn't arrange it. You just gathered them up.
I've got the special touch.
Is it special, or do we overthink this? Is it just, I mean, all the colors, the way they're mixing together?
Are you trying to get the Florist Society against me?
No, I don't want that to happen.
Well, I think, you know, it's just really what appeals to you, and the shape of your vase, the height of the vase. I mean, you can have things spilling over, but in this case, all of these flowers are fairly upright, and they just make a nice match just the way they are.
And what should I do with my water? How often does that get changed?
Well, I would say every couple days, take them out, throw out the water, because bacteria does accumulate. This is living material that's decaying. So change the water, a couple more drops of household bleach in the water, and cut the stems again in a container like this, put them back in the vase, and you'll have a much longer shelf life with your flowers.
Wow, and that's very, very little effort. That is just fabulous.
And some flowers, like mums, do create a funky smell in the water if you don't change the water frequently.
So it's just every couple days to do this. It's not a lot of maintenance that has to be done, and you end up with just a beautiful bouquet.
And it's room temperature water. Don't worry about.
Okay, so nothing special on the water.
Just don't go too hot.
Too hot or too cold. Just nicely room temperature.
But if you have this usually comes with the bouquets, and it's essentially just sugar and bleach.
But even if we use that the first time, after that I can just use a couple of drops of bleach, not very much at all.
The sugar I don't think is really necessary. It's really about the bleach.
All right. Well, Stephen, I've got to thank you because you made this sound so easy. And frankly, it doesn't seem like the hardest thing to do, but knowing the couple of tips you gave us about when you're buying the flowers, touch the flowers. Make sure that the petals feel supple, they're not falling off, and you'll actually be buying flowers that will last longer. And then as you showed us, cutting them in water so that we're keeping them healthy. We're moving them to a vase with a good amount of water, which we are going to maintain. We're going to be changing it, a little bit of bleach, and the rolling pin for those hard-to-do stems.
I mean, you could use a hammer, too, but a rolling pin, since we're...
Well, sometimes a hammer is the tool, you know. If all you got is a hammer, everything's a nail, even this. Well, Stephen, thank you again. That was a great lesson, and all simple stuff, and I'll become a much better shopper for flowers now. My wife's going to be very happy with you, but I may need you to back me up that I'm not buying flowers because I did something wrong. We learned today that supermarkets offer flowers and plants that satisfy a lifestyle that appreciates color, beauty, pleasure, and fun. And while floral items are often impulse buys, we've provided you some what I hope are helpful tips on how to choose and buy flowers thoughtfully and how to better care for them once you get them home. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on Shopping with Michael.